What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And before I start this video, I want everyone out there watching it to understand something, that I'm black. That's right. I know it may come as a surprise to some of you all that are, colorblind, like Americans should be. But in today's society, where being a male or female or black or white or Asian or straight or gay is so important to the liberal media so that they can push their false narratives about racism and division, you often have to just come out and make them understand that not all black people hate Trump, not all Trump supporters, are these living in the back hills of wherever, making moonshine, coming down out of the hills every once in a while just to go to a Trump rally and get in there and say, you know what, dang it, we need more white supremacists. That's what we need. Even though the media is making it seem as if that is all Trump supporters. And so now I have to start off with my message of, first of all, I'm black. 2, I'm a Trump supporter. 3, I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not a black supremacist. I'm none of those things. I am a person who simply says, look at things that make common sense, look at policies that benefit Americans, the same stuff that Donald Trump has been talking about. That resonates with me, not because I'm black, not because I look at it and say, well, it's only going to benefit me and my self-interest. His policies benefit Americans. One big family. You got to explain that to the liberal media, who has been running around for the last 2 or 3 days since these shootings took place and polarizing it, demonizing Trump and all of his supporters. And they don't care. They lump us all in there. I don't care if you're black, if you're Asian, if you're male or female. We're all now, I guess, white supremacists. Some of the things that I've been hearing coming out of the media since these shootings took place are unbelievable. We're going to listen to a few of them. But I had to let the media know, and all of those out there who unfortunately are being brainwashed by the media, that these shootings are Trump's fault. He's responsible for it. Anybody who supports him is too. Then that would throw me into that category. As a black person, I'm not a white supremacist. As a black person, I'm not a racist against black people. I'm not a sellout that said, well, let me go over here and hang out with the white people who hate black people. I'm sure they'll accept me. What the world and Americans need to understand, if you ever came to a Trump rally, if you ever tried to open your eyes past what the media is pushing down your throat, what the Democrats are pushing down your throat, you'll realize the most important thing that connects people together is not race. It's none of that stuff. It's culture. It is culture, and it's also your political ideas, that whether they make sense to you or not, or support your values or not. That's what makes the most sense to people. When I go out and I'm talking amongst people who believe in some of the fundamental principles of America, I don't have a problem. I don't care what color, what race. In fact, it makes me bond with them even more. I was at a grill out, and it was this white guy there, and he looked silly. He looked nuts, to be honest with you. So I didn't strike up a conversation with him, but I also wasn't trying to avoid him. And all of a sudden, now understand, he's the only white guy at an all black grill out. Okay. Somehow he ends up on the grill. Now, black folks, they like, is he putting enough seasoning on that? Is he sprinkling enough pepper in it? We want to make sure the meat tastes right. Is it cooked all the way through? Very particular about grilling out. Okay. But nonetheless, my man was on the grill. Afterwards, came over, sat down, and the person he came with gave him a little bump. They asked me to say, you still supporting your boy Trump? I said, yes, I do. And she's like, this one right here, he the same way. Now, here's a guy that prior to that, I had no desire to talk to him. I wasn't shunning him, but I just didn't have a desire to talk to him, get to know who he was. None of that stuff. We probably would have never said a word together to each other. All of a sudden, when she said, yeah, he supports your boy too, immediately, me and this guy goes into a full-blown hyper conversation. What? Look, man, do you see what's going on around here? Now, we weren't looking at race. We weren't looking at anything. We were connected because of how we see the surroundings, how we see what's going on in America. It had nothing to do with race. I was like, are these folks on the left crazy or not? Yes, they are. And that's black folks, that's white folks, that's women, that's men. There's a lot of loony left people out there. And when you connect with somebody on the right or just an American in the middle who says, what's going on is scary, because they're not going after just groups of people. They're going after the fundamental structure of America. And they're doing it in the most polarizing, dirty way ever, which is demonizing when it doesn't require demonization. Some people out there deserves being demonized. But what the media does is say, let's not demonize the person who is responsible for the problem, who committed the act. Let's now demonize someone who we want to get out of power, who we want people to look at as disgusting. Let's demonize the president. Then we'll go one step further. Demonize all of the people who support the president too. Let's listen about these two shooters, and then let's get a couple of these knuckleheads on some other news stations here just firing off stuff coming out their mouth. Now, understand this. They talk about when you criticize Ilhan Omar or Alexandria Cortez or Tlaib, any of those people, you're scaring me. By you demonizing us, you're putting my life in danger. You're making people want to hurt me. But yet they can go ahead, demonize the president. They can demonize all of his supporters and then not worry about one of these supporters walking down with a MAGA hat, getting punched in the eyeball, getting milkshaked and beat up, hit with bite locks, all of this stuff. See, so by them demonizing Trump and all his supporters, guess whose lives you're putting in jeopardy? Mine. You know, even though ain't nobody gonna mess with me. I'll wear a MAGA hat if I want to, dang on it. Bring it. But there are a lot of people out there that are afraid to even say that I support the president because of people like this that we're about to listen to.
These deranged killers, two very different political agendas.
Yes,
now, we've heard about the one in El Paso, Texas. El Paso. We didn't hear one about the guy in Dayton, apparently a socialist and an Elizabeth Warren supporter, which speaks volumes about the agenda-driven media. Trace Gallagher, what's the latest?
Wait a minute, Shawnee boy. You're telling me that one of them supported Elizabeth Warren? He was a socialist? I wonder why they're not saying she's responsible for this man. I wonder why they're not saying that all of the politicization. There you go. Had to chop it up. Anyway, I wonder why they're not saying all of this stuff that's been going on for 2.5 years and coming out of the Democratic Party, the left, and all of these snowflakes running around contributed to this man's decision. I wonder why they're not doing that. Notice how they withdraw, suppress, or leave information out that doesn't fit their narrative or could hurt their party that they support. Interesting.
And we know more on both now, Sean. We know the 21-year-old Patrick Cruz drove more than 600 miles from his home in the Dallas area to El Paso with the intent, police say, of killing as many people as possible. He allegedly killed 22, including 7 Mexican citizens. Okay. Investigators say he went to the crowded Walmart shopping center because he was hungry. He apparently ate, left, and returned with a gun. And 19 minutes before the shooting, a manifesto, possibly linked to the suspect, was posted online. In it, the author supports the shooting earlier this year in Christchurch, New Zealand. Says he spent less than a month preparing for this attack, and that
wasn't that the church in New Zealand that they also blame President Trump for? I mean, a full-blown shooting takes place in another country, but President Trump was responsible, according to the liberal media, even though that guy hated President Trump. But somehow these white supremacists that they're just labeling these people as, versus crazy, versus evil, versus just some person with some crazy ideology that has nothing to do with the president and his policies. Instead of labeling them accordingly, they just go ahead and throw them in the category of a white supremacist. Okay, yeah, that's why they did it. They're white supremacists. You know, I wonder what they would do if a black person did this. If a black person went on a shooting spree, how can they would be like, we don't know what to do. This is blowing our mind. What can we can't blame anybody for this guy. You know what? Let's just ignore that story.
response, quote, Hispanic invasion of Texas. It goes on to blame immigration for everything from a loss of jobs to pollution. The author criticizes both political parties, says his hatred predates President Trump, but that the fake news media will...
Now, this man, as wicked as he was, went out with some truth. He said that his hatred predates President Trump, but the fake news media is still going to blame the president. And he was absolutely right. They walk right into that one. They're like, you know what? We know right in this manifesto. They probably didn't read it anyway. As soon as they found out, wait a minute, let me get this straight. White man shoots people. Oh, white supremacy. And it's motivated by President Trump. Even though they said on this statement right here, he said, but the fake news media is still going to blame the president, even though this had nothing to do with Donald Trump. This came out of my wicked, evil heart. That's what it did. But that didn't stop them from blaming the president.
Meantime, the motive of the Dayton shooter remains unknown, and police still aren't sure if 24...
I can tell you the motive of them. Both. Diablos, the devil, evil, craziness. That's the motive. It has nothing to do with white supremacy. It has nothing to do with the president. None of that stuff. I wish they would stop blaming the president and indirectly blaming all of us to support the president for this craziness right here. All right, let's hear what these politicians have
O'Connor was targeting his 22-year-old sister. Megan Betts was among the 9 killed. Police also don't know if politics played a part in the rampage, but the Associated Press says a Twitter account that appears to be from the gunman shows he labeled himself a leftist, bemoaned the election of Donald Trump, and supported Democratic presidential...
Y'all hear that? He labeled himself a leftist. That means that all of the Democratic Party is responsible for this man, Don Lemon and Chris Combhead and little Brian Stelter, all of them who supports left-leaning views, they all supported pretty much this man. I mean, the guy probably did it solely because of the Democratic Party and all of the rhetoric and all of the liberal media's rhetoric and division that they spread. That's what I have to believe now. According to their rules, that's exactly why he did it then. See, if he supports their policies, their beliefs, then obviously they're responsible for this man's behavior. See how stupid that sounds?
Candidate Elizabeth Warren. He also encouraged people to cut the fences of immigration detention centers. And Connor Betts' high school classmates...
Now, who does that sound like? That sounds like maybe perhaps Alexandria Cortez, who's been talking about these detention centers are concentration camps. I mean, last I checked, some dude from Antifa was about to blow one up and went out and, you know, real bad. They shot him up and killed him. So what, is she responsible for that man's behavior? See, is that her rhetoric that led him to do that?
They say twice suspended for compiling a, quote, hit list and a rape list.
So he was crazy?
Sean, unbelievable.
Interesting.
Evil in both cases. Not about politics in spite of the way the media is spinning us. Now, clearly, while the shooter in Dayton and the shooter in El Paso, they had different ideologies, opposite political beliefs, they were both hate-filled psychopaths.
Thank you.
And of course, we're still learning new information as these investigations unfold.
Now,
there should be a time for mourning, prayer.
That's right. We should all
We've got to help these families. This is not the time for political grandstanding and even fundraising. Really? Minutes after the attack, minutes.
Get out
the
of here.
media mob, Democrats race to politicize these acts of violence.
Tell us more,
race
Sean.
to blame President Trump, of course, but they're silent on the politics of the Dayton shooter.
Ready? You ready?
What does that tell you? Does that not speak volumes?
Okay,
Same people, Russia, 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 collusion, collusion, collusion.
Here we go.
Encouraging this, he does violence. Raced the shooter in Dayton and the shooter. President were words that he's incapable of speaking, which is, I'm sorry, I apologize. The president of the United States...
This guy, whoever he was, wants the president to apologize for what? For standing up for American workers and America First policies and loving your country and wanting to keep our borders secure, wanting to make sure that we have equal and fair trade going on, making sure our economy is functioning properly, making sure our military is well funded, making sure that the unemployment rate is very, very low and the economy is booming, making sure all of these things. You mean he has to apologize for that? Because this white supremacist narrative, I don't hear it in his speeches. I don't see it in his policies. What are you talking about? You want him to get up there and grovel and apologize over what? Nothing? See, or apologize over the fake narratives that you guys have created and painted and labeled him as. So he's supposed to apologize for stuff he didn't do or responsible for or believe in himself. That's what you want? Idiots. Listen to this guy.
Has to stop igniting the flames of hatred and bigotry. These shootings were
Did you hear
clearly
him?
at least...
The president has to stop igniting the flames of hatred and bigotry. What hatred and bigotry are you referring to? I've never heard the president say anything that would make me want to hate anybody. Now, granted, some things he will say that is warranted and deserve to be labeled as. For example, MS-13 are animals. They act like animals, all right? They kill like animals, like savages. Of course, you throw that out there and I'm going to shake my head like, well, I agree with that, absolutely. But just having fundamental border patrol and things of that nature, that's not hatred. Making sure terrorists don't make it into our country, that's not hatred. That's called common sense. Listen to this guy. One
result of his racist rhetoric, and it's clear. For those of you who are funding Donald Trump's re-election campaign, you may want to take note.
Now, listen to Beaker. Remember Beaker off of the Muppets? That's what Joe Scarborough looks like. His eyes are so tight together, it looks like he can look through a keyhole with both eyeballs. He wouldn't even have to give you the one. Just stand right there, look through the keyhole with both eyes because his eyes are that tight together. So Beaker here goes one step further. He's not just saying that the president is a white supremacist, but everybody who supports him financially or probably in any manner is probably a white supremacist too. Look at the eyes.
But because you keep writing checks to this event, it's on you. It really is. It's all on you because you are funding this white supremacist campaign. Our commander in chief, and he is encouraging us.
Let me understand this. They allow this man to get on TV and make a comment like this. Now, do you think that trying to label all of these Trump supporters as white supremacists and the president they voted for is going to heal the nation? Do you think that's going to bring everybody together? The real people who are dividing the country, you're listening to them right there. When you take a statement out of context, you embellish, when you use it for political gain, when you misquote, when you just completely infer something that is not inferred, you're driving a wedge. You know what you're doing? You're instigating. You're the person who's sitting back quarterbacking the violence by saying this whole group of people over here hate you all. Therefore, they deserve what they get. Yeah, pretty much deserve what they get. Let's hear some more.
It's time. Of course, the severed head, Catholic Griffin.
Well, you heard the last. Oh, wait. No, there's Beto O'Rourke. He's another one. Oh, God, Beto. Listen to this guy. Let's see.
Disingenuous again, and frankly, it's grotesque.
Where is it at?
Single light, the latest in a political...
Well, Dan, whether or not it's fair, he's going to have to answer those questions.
No, he's not.
The same people. Collusion, stormy.
Well, Dan,
I want to say with more moral clarity that Donald Trump is responsible for this.
is it fair, John, to tie the
Now, did you hear Cory Booker? Did you hear Bathroom? Bathroom said that Donald Trump is responsible for this. Donald Trump's responsible for this. Some stuff you just can't make sense out of. I mean, I want to get on the debate stage. I got a good mind to just be a sleeper mole, run as a Democrat, jump on the stage and debate them and get out there and let them all have it. Just give me about 10 minutes on the stage with these people. I will let every one of them have it. Let's finish.
is it fair, John, to tie the president to this violence?
Of
I want to hear
racist
Beto. I want to hear Beto.
rhetoric, and it's clear. For those of you who are funding Donald Trump's re-election campaign, you may want to take note that because you keep writing checks to this president, it's on you. It really is. It's all on you because you are funding this white supremacist campaign.
Our commander in chief, and he is encouraging this. He doesn't just tolerate it, he encourages it.
I want to say with
Now, did you
more
hear
moral
that?
clarity that Donald Trump is responsible.
Our commander-in-chief not only tolerates it, but he encourages it. So now what Beto has done, since his career is pretty much over at this point, one last Hail Mary. He goes one step further. Not just saying the president might have said some things that maybe inspired it. He encourages it. Yeah, he not only tolerates this stuff, he encourages it. President Trump is like, you know what, guys, on your off time, when you get a chance, grab a gun, go somewhere and shoot up a whole bunch of people. Because, you know, by shooting up these random people of all colors and stuff like this, then we're making America white again. Last I checked, white supremacists shouldn't be shooting white people. They should be saying, you know what? Let's shoot only people of color. When I looked at that list of people who was killed, I saw white people, I saw Mexicans, I saw black people. There were people all over the place. They were no respective person. They went in and said, my goal is just to shoot up a whole bunch of random people. How is that white supremacy? How is that getting your message across that you exalt the white race over everybody else? It doesn't. So therefore, this whole narrative of white supremacy, and that's the full-blown motivation of these people versus crazy, versus the devil, versus evil, all of these things that they should be saying that's what motivated them. They're going to say it's President Trump and all the people that pretty much supported him. Yeah, these narratives are coming out of us. But they forgot that some of them are not white. Some of the people who support the president, like I started in my video, are black, are all different types of races. And if that message of white supremacy is not hitting us, making us think, yeah, that did sound kind of racist or like a white supremacist statement or something of that nature, why is it that their ears on the left are interpreting what he's saying differently than all of the people that are black, Native American, Latino, all of us that support the president? How is the left getting a different message than we are? I mean, is he speaking over our head to where we don't see that he's a white supremacist? We all just hanging out in the group like, yeah, well, is he talking about us? No, I don't know. What? I can't. No, he's not. So smart people are able to see what they're doing in the media, which is demonizing him, trying to set it up for the 2020 election, and using tragedy to do it, which is downright evil, because all that ends up doing is hurting the victims, hurting the family of the victims. It also divides the country, and it furthermore sets up potential violence amongst our society, because our society, half of them are not smart enough to see that they're being manipulated and instigated into hating the other half of the country. Now, all of a sudden, you get attacks on people who support the president. But yet, you say one thing about Ilhan Omar, any of them, yeah, you're scaring them, you're putting their life in danger, that's what you're doing. But they could get on TV and spew out nonstop rhetoric about the president being a white supremacist and encouraging and being responsible for these type of shootings. Now you see what we're working with? So who's the real devil in this script? I know who it is. It's the liberal media and it's the Democrats. D for Devilcrats. That's what it is. Anyway, God bless you. Check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner via YouTube rather. Check me out also on my radio blog talk show. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Don't forget to check out Extreme Tees. The link is in the bottom. They sent me a new shirt yesterday. I'll be rocking that tomorrow night on my live broadcast. But don't forget to check them out. And if you like something, put my name in the promo code Kevin. You'll get a 20% discount. And then, yeah. So, if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom to do that as well. And we'll see you next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless.